Good Saturday. How is everyone? Good morning. Good day, Sister Jeannie, Denise, and Maria. I hope you're all well. Yes, it's kind of an overcast day here in New England, and we're hoping the rain holds off. We have some car repairs to do today, and of course, prayer rosary, especially for those who are contacting me with concerns. It's really a hard road to try and be Catholic when there are so many things that the Catholic Church that they assume we belong to have done. So it's a road that we can overcome, though. And good day, CW and CJ. I hope you're well. I know it's hot down there in the south, and storms galore. Keep your bathtub ready, or if you have a basement, but you'll be fine. All right, we have a little bit of a long discussion today with St. John of the Cross, continuing with the agony there in the dark night. So let's get right to it. In nomine Dei, matronam nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany and humbly adore in Catholic contemplation the Divine Family. Most Holy and Venerable Trinity, one Divine Family, I believe that Thou art here present. I venerate Thee with the deepest humility. I render to Thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to Thee. O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on Thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to attain the pardon of my sins, the help of Thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love Thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because Thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of Thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Trinitarian Theophany for the many graces that we receive and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven. O Trinitarian Theophany, I most humbly thank Thee for all the favors Thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to Thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in Thy service. I consecrate to Thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by Thy love, or that would not tend to Thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O Trinitarian Theophany, Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of Thy grace. Deny me not Thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which Thou forbiddest, to practice the good which Thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please Thee to send me. O Deum Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under Thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of Thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress and my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended Thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because they offend Thee, O most Holy Trinitarian Theophany. Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. So I was looking up some classical and Calabresian Latin pronunciations, and thanks to the one gentleman who critiqued me and said it was abominable. Well, he didn't say it was abominable, but my pronunciation. So there is some definite things that I'm going to try and work on, and hopefully not get distracted while doing it. I'll have to practice with the booklet after. So if you see me stumbling a little bit, I'm trying to correct my Latin. Okay, we continue on here of other kinds of torment the soul suffers in this night. The third manner of passion and agony that the soul now suffers is by reason of two extremes, to wit, the divine and the human, which now become one. The divine is this contemplative purgation, and the human is the substance of the soul. For as the divine seizes upon her to the end that she may be seasoned and renewed so as to be made divine, and stripped naked of the habitual propensities and properties of the old man. They use the word Adam there, but I just use man. Wherewith she is still closely joined, cemented, and assimilated. After such a fashion does it grind and disintegrate her, sucking her down into darkness so profound that she feels herself consumed and melted before the sight and aspect of her basenesses, in a cruel death of the soul, like as she were swallowed up in the darkness of a belly of some monster, and felt herself being crunched within its jaws, and suffers the same agonies as, let's say, Jonah, since we know the story, in the belly of the whale. For even so must she dwell in the sepulchre of darkest death, if she would awake to the soulful resurrection that awaits her. Okay, now so it's like a form of purgatory here. The manner of this passion and grief, although in good truth, is beyond conception, but what this grief-stricken soul feels most of all is the thought that the Trinitarian Theophany has most certainly forsaken her, and that in they loathing of her, the Trinitarian Theophany has cast her into the abyss, which is for her a grievous and pitiable suffering to believe the Trinitarian Theophany has forsaken her. For truly, when this purgative contemplation constrains, the soul feels the shadow of death and the groans and tortures of hell, as if she saw them bodily before her. For hell to her consists in feeling herself forsaken of the Trinitarian Theophany and chastised and flung aside, and that the Trinitarian Theophany is outraged and wrathful. For all this she suffers now. And furthermore, she is overcome by a direful terror that is forever. And she is haunted by this same sense of being forsaken and despised of all created people and things, particularly of her friends. A further excellency of this dark contemplation begets in the soul a fourth kind of grief, which is the majesty and grandeur of the Trinitarian Theophany, which gives rise in her to the other extreme therein contained of her own intimate poverty and wretchedness, the which is one of the chiefest tortures she suffers in this purgation, for she feels within herself a profound void and utter dearth of the three kinds of wealth which are ordered for her enjoyment, which are temporal, physical, and soulful or spiritual. and she sees herself plunged into the contrary evils, to wit, miserable trifles of imperfections, aridnesses and emptinesses of the perceptions of the faculties, and desolation of the soul and darkness. For inasmuch as the Trinitarian Theophany now purges the soul of her soulful being as well as her sensitive substance, of her interior as of her exterior powers, it is necessary that she be placed in emptiness and poverty and desertion on all sides, and be left parched, void, and empty and in darkness. For the sensitive part is purified by dryness, and the intellectual powers in the void of their cognitions, and the soul in thick darkness. All which the Trinitarian Theophany effects by means of this obscure contemplation, wherein not only does the soul suffer the void and suspension of these, her usual supports and perceptions, which is a kind of suffering most agonizing, like as if a person were hung or suspended in the air so that he could not breathe. But he also purges her, destroying her, or voiding or consuming therein, like as fire works on the rust and tarnish of metals, from all the affections and imperfect habits she has contracted throughout her life. And forasmuch as they are deeply rooted in her, she suffers grave restlessness and interior torture, beside the said poverty and physical and mental void. Whereby is shewn the torture the soul suffers in respect of the emptiness and poverty she is in as to the sensitive and soulful spiritual parts, wherein is shewn the passionate agony the soul endures in the purgation, the fire of this contemplation. For as the prophet says here, that in order to purify and in order to cleanse away the rust of the affections which remain in the center of the soul, it is necessary that she herself, to a certain extent, should cooperate in this self-annihilation and disintegration, insofar as these passions and imperfections have become a part of her. Whence in this furnace the soul is purified like as gold in the crucible, as the wise man says, tam quam aurum infornaque probavit ilos. She feels this fearful breaking up in the innermost part of her with excessive sadness, wherein she feels herself, as it were, about to give up the ghost. Here, the Trinitarian Theophany humiliates the soul profoundly to exalt her greatly afterwards, and were the Trinitarian Theophany not to bid this grief, when it swells within the soul, quickly to be still in a very few days, she must forsake the body. But the moments wherein it makes itself felt in its most intense vitality are intermittent, the which is sometimes so keen and piercing that the soul bethinks her that she sees hell and perdition open up before her. For of such as these are they who, in very truth, go down to hell in life and are purged in this world as if in the purgatory of the next. For this purgation, being a purgation from sins, however venial they may be, is like that to which must be accomplished there. And so the soul which passes through this purification and is left thoroughly purged, either does not enter into Hades or stays not long there. For in 1 hour of this earthly purgatory, she derives more benefit than in many there. So that's a tricky one to have to go through. However, the soul at the time going through it knows that it's right. And we need to be thankful that the purgation here, which may feel more intense, is shorter than if it were in purgatory itself. And one of the reasons why we pray for the souls for each Mass those masses shorten the length of time in purgatory for those souls. And the current Novus Ordo Church does not even recognize that so much. Some of them do, but it's a profound import, and we need to remember to keep that. So if you have people that you know that are Catholic that can use a mass said for them, please send me their name. Deum vobiscum et quoque apud. Oremus. O Trinitarian Theophany, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hanc immaculatam hostium, quam ego indignus famulus tuus offerit tibi Deum meum vivum et verum pro innumerabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentiis meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed et pro omnibus fidelibus Catholicorum, vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi et idis proficiat ad salutem. Deum cuhamane substantiae dignitatem mirability condedis et mirabilis reformasti da nobis spiritus aqua ministerium eius divinitatis esses consortes qui unitatis nostrae fieri denotis est parteceps. Deum Iesum Christum qui tecum vivit et regnat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Oferimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuam deprecantes clementiam ut in conspecto divinae majestatis tuae pro nostra totius mundi salute cum adore suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam orate Deum Iesum Christum et sic fiat sacrificium nostrum in conspectu tuo hodie et placreat tibi Deum Materam Nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni Sanctificator Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum et sanctificit oblata prosequendo et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomini preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas, hanc oblationem contibi eferimus, a memoriam passiones, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorem Deum Maternam Nostrae, et a Papa Peter Sanctorum, et Istorum et Omnium Sanctorum, ut illis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et illi pro nobis intercedere dignenter tur in caelis coram amorem agimus interis perendum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate ut meam ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat poteam Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium et manibus tuis ad laudam et gloriam nomini sui ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apote, sursum corda, habemus a Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te egitur, clementissime Mater Pater, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum nostre, Deum Maternum nostre et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum, Filium Tuum Deum nostre, supplices, rogamus ac petimus. Uti accepta habeas et sanctificas. Hic sanctam sacrificium illibata. In primis quae tibi afferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare, custodiri, adonare et regere digneris toto orbi terrarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famalorum quae tuarum. We pray for the sick and the suffering, especially Katie, Gage, Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Mindy, Clarette, Mark Jr., Casey, Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Mr. Nobody, Anne Bultink, the Cantu and Duarte families, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron, and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, John Cahill, the Dosco, Nye, Tafur, Began, and Wolf families. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office at Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion of any kind, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse, transgenderism, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange, with no usury. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. We ask that, quote-unquote, all gay marriage be banned, reversal of the feminist ideology, and a return to Trinitarian femininity, and seek Dea Maternam Nostrae as the example. We ask Dea Maternam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum to destroy the satanic document, the Vatican law that is the Jewish Talmud, to destroy Rome and the Vatican and transfer the authority of the Catholic Church to Fatima, Portugal. We ask you to release the souls controlled by the demons Lilith and Asmodeus. We ask you to block the passage of any so-called pandemic treaty by the WHO based on lies and aimed at removing the divine family's children's freedom to move and travel. We also ask you to please save the souls from under the dominion of any Jew or Freemason that gives support to Israel. We pray for wisdom in all aspects of our life, that we may know when a deception is being forced upon us, and that we act and call this deception out. All these things we ask in accordance with the Trinitarian Theophany's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides cognita est, et nota devotio pro quibus tibi afferimus, vel qui tibi offerunt hoc sacrificium laudis processuisque omnibus pro redemptione anomarum suarum, pro spe salutis et incalamitatis suae, tibique redunt vota sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et memoriam venerantes in primis gloriose semper Deum atram nostre, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum Papae Sancti Petri, et Sancti Lucia, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis, praecibusque concedas ut in omnibus protectiones tuae muniamur auxilio, per eundum Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblationem te Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibum, consecratum acceptabilem quaefigere dignidis ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat didictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pater aeter accepit panem in sancta sacramentibus manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum, et ad Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, fregit, dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et manducate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simile modo postquam ceremonia est accipiens et honc precladum calicem in sanctas aquarabus manus suas, item tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et bibite, et ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum. Et quotescumque feceretis memum facietis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, sede plebs, tua sancta eiustum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre, tambe et passionis, nec non et ab inferis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriose, accensionis offerimus, preclare maiestati dudi tuis donis ac datis, supraque propitio ac sereno futur respiciere digneris. Supplices te rogamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hic per manus tuum ut quod ex hac altaris participatione sacrosanctum corpum Deum filium tuum, corpus et sanguinum sum senimus omni sanctificatione, celesti et gratia repe amor per in Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for George Stelzer, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum quiescentibum, locum refugerii, lucis et pacis ut indulgeas deprecamur, per indum Christum Deum nostrum, perquem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, consecratis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Dea matronam nostrae, materam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis, peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quesumus, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis praeteritis presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata et gloriosa semper Deum Matram nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis. Da propitius pacem in diebus nostris, ut ope misericordiae tuae aduiti et a peccato simus semper liberi et omni perturbatione securi. Per eiundum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum, Filium Tuum, Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et regnat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Haec commitio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum fiat accipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum, corpus et sanguinum tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis et universis malis, et fac me tuis semper in harare mandatis, et a te numquam separari permittas, qui cum eodem Dea matronam nostrae, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vivis et regnam aeternam. Perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sumere praesimo, non mihi proveniat in judicium et condemnationem, sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi ad tutamentum mentis et corporis et ad me delam percipiendam, qui vivis et regnas cum Deum matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestem accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Dea matronam nostrae non sunt dignius, ut intres subtectum meum, sed tantum verbo et senabatur anima mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut intres subtectum meum, sed tantum de verbo et senabatur anima mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, non sum deus, ut inter subtectum meum, sed tanto dic verbo, et senabatur anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribuam Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quae retribuit mihi, calicem salutaris accipiam et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocavo, laudans invocavo Deam matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvus ero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quod ore sumus Deum Iesum Christum, puramente capiamus, et Dei munere temporali, fiat nobis remedium sempiternum. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod sumpsit sanguis quem potave hera visceribus meis et presta, ut in me non remenia scelerum macula, quem pura et sancta refacerunt sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O Trinitarian Theophany, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, ite missa est. Deum gratia. Placeat tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium, servitutis mei e presta ut sacrificium, quod oculis tuis majestatis igninus optili tibi set acceptabile, mihique et omnibus pro quibus illud optili sit te miserante propitiabile, per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum. Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. O Trinitarian Theophany, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum present here, in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of Deum matronam nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Thank you very much for your I'm reading, sorry, for your prayers and whatnot. It says, my device is too hot. Use the overheating protection setting to improve the live stream performance. Okay. So what happened was I got the wood stove going here this morning because it was a little chilly and it got too hot here. So I don't know what the cooling function is, but let's get out of here before it overheats and shuts down altogether. My sons came home from Florida last night safely. Thanks be to Deum matronam nostrae. And he borrowed my fan that I had here blowing. So anyway, okay, let me read. These are some fantastic lessons. Latin yes, this is, I thought about this, the pronunciation and whatnot, and it's, at first my ego got kicked, right? You're not pronouncing Latin. I can't even understand you. And then I said, well, is it really that important how I pronounce it? And then I contemplated that for a while. I mean, with all things taken into consideration going on in the world. And then I said, yes, it is that important, okay? It's important that we be as perfect as we can. And this is what the whole point, so I can spend less time in purgatory. So thank you, brother Peter. And I would love to come visit Ireland and meet with you and say Mass. So let's keep that open. All right, please go and sanctify all those who you meet. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Have a great day.